My name is Camila Dejesus, and welcome to today's episode of Conversando. Today, I hope you are a sports fan because we are very excited to have Austin FC's Rocky Zapata and Gisella SantaCruz, who are Senior Director and Manager of Community Impact in Austin FC. I'm so excited to talk to them all about what that even means, how they got into the world of Austin FC and sports and all of it. So let's just dive right in. Hi.
Yeah. Hello.
How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Yeah, we're doing great. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Of course. I'm so excited to learn more about you guys. So for starters, we are so excited that you are both here. Before we get into everything about Austin FC and community impact, I'd love to know a little bit more about you both. So are you both from Austin? What was your upbringings like?
I'll let Rocky go first.
So I am probably one of those hated Californians that moved over to Austin.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah, there's a lot of us. But I am originally from Southern California, born and raised. And I moved out here for this job, actually. So about 3 years, I applied to a membership services role, which is essentially someone who manages like the season ticket members for Austin FC. Oh. And I came out here with the intention that one day I was going to be in community impact. I was like, all right, this is my foot in the door. And I had 2 weeks to pick up my entire life and move out here.
She didn't just come straight from, California. She did. Yeah. You worked for?
I used to work for the Angels. So if you are familiar with MLB, I worked for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was there for a little bit right around the pandemic time, and I started off in sales with them, and that's how I discovered that there was a world of like community impact. And yeah, I unfortunately COVID happened in 2020, right. And so that dream was cut short a little bit, but I got a taste of like what that was, and I found an opportunity out here in Austin. A friend at the time who was in the community role helped with that, and shout out to Nettie. And yeah, came out here to Austin, but originally from Southern California.
Okay, great. What about you?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Gisella SantaCruz. Thank you again for having us today. So I am not originally from Austin, and so while I've lived here for over 25 years, depending on who I, cross paths with, I'm not allowed to call myself an Austinite, even though I've been here for,
I think you're allowed, right? I think you're fine.
I didn't go to school here, so I have no school connection to Austin, so therefore I'm still technically a Dallasite. I grew up in Dallas, born and raised there. I was, if you know Dallas, I'm actually from the Oak Cliff area of Dallas. I'm not a suburban kid, through and through a Dallasite. So so much like Rocky, I grew up in an immigrant family household. Both my parents are from Mexico, and it was an interesting, journey that got me here. I entered college. I was the first to go to college in my family, so I had to figure that out on my own.
Wow, yeah.
And then I became a journalist, and I was a journalist for a couple of decades. Got into that, again, just sort of stumbling through and trying to figure out what I was good at, and landed a pretty cool role at the Austin American-Statesman. Last position I held there was part of the editorial board and a columnist. And then I stumbled across this project and never, imagined being a part of the sports industry, to be honest. But it was a tad bit serendipitous, because as a journalist, I did write about this potential project coming to Austin, and so what that would mean to the city. And I do remember having a conversation with a colleague of mine over lunch and just saying, wow, wouldn't it be cool if we got this, this team to come to Austin? I was like, yeah, wouldn't it be cool to work for this team that came to Austin? Wow. And so, yeah, that's sort of how that's not how I landed here, but that's sort of what was my first, just, allowing myself the idea to work for a sports team was at a lunch
Well, now
Home
I
state.
have many questions. So, okay. I have like one for each of you, but for you, what inspired you to like, because that's a complete career shift, right? To go from being a journalist and a columnist to working in community impact. What was that decision like? Was there something you just were missing in your career or something you just wanted to find out about?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I just allowed myself to really dream big for myself. I know that sounds really weird. And when I say big, working in sports is not a big deal. But I did allow myself to just figure out what I wanted in life and allowed myself to say I deserved that in life.
Right.
And so when I was in journalism, for me, it was really important to give the voiceless a voice. So I had a very altruistic, view, if you will, of how I could give back to my community. And I thought being a journalist was the best way because didn't have a whole lot of money. I seem to have had some skills with writing, and so I used it to the benefit of others by telling other people's stories. And so when I started coming to the end of my career, and it was just, I knew it was time. You've been in something for, a couple decades, you're like, okay, some of us, stick to what we're doing for as long as we can, and some of us yearn for something different. I was the one that yearned for something different, but I didn't know what that would look like. And so for me, it was just like, I didn't specifically say I wanted sports. I just allowed myself to be open to any possibility where I could continue to be useful to my community, where I could continue to still enjoy what I was doing, and be able to provide for my family. Because again, coming from an immigrant family, I think that's sort of ingrained in us, is providing for your family is first and foremost. I think just opening up myself to endless possibilities, and then just allowing the universe to sort of bring me this beautiful, package with a bow on it, and it just happened to be sports. And that sounds kind of crazy and weird, but it's really how it happened.
Well, can you break down for us, both of you, what exactly is community impact and what that looks like, what your roles look like?
Yeah, I think the conversation's over now. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
Community impact is so much. There's so much.
Yeah, like you say, community impact is, honestly, I think everyone has a different definition of it, but to us, to me, community impact is just making a difference, a difference in your local community. And that can mean very different things. It could mean giving someone an opportunity that they didn't have before. It's giving someone, for instance, with G, and how she said she didn't realize this was a dream or an option until she let herself believe that, and giving the youth in our community here in Austin, giving them the gift that was given to G, essentially. And I think what we're providing in many different ways, community impact is exactly that, just making an impact for your community.
Yeah, and I think for Austin FC in particular, community impact has meant a really, it's had very different definitions at different points in its existence, right? So when we first started, we were just a project, we were an idea, we weren't even Austin FC. We were just this hope to bring a soccer team to the city. Yeah. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was connect with those who loved the sport and who could support the idea of having a soccer team here in Austin. And so that was more like outreach, right? And connecting with people who already loved the sport. Once we had the actual, team in place, then it was educating people about who we were and what, you've got this new neighbor. Hi there.
Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. And so then sort of what we hope to be for the community. And then once we've realized that, oh wow, we've got a lot of people and they quickly picked up on who we were, then it became what are some of the things that we can do? How can we use our platform now as a team to enhance and to amplify the voices in this community who are already doing so much, so much, including like groups like Latinitas, right? And so amplifying the voices of those who are already doing a whole lot of good. And then that's one of the things that we continue to do today. The other thing is just connecting our community to our brand, connecting it to our partners, and really finding opportunities to really work together and, as Rocky said, create opportunities to impact, whether it's one kid, whether it's an entire nonprofit, but always with the intent of making someone's day and moment just a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
That sounds really rewarding. That sounds like really cool and fulfilling because you're doing something good and you know it's good, but also it's like for a big sports brand. So that's really cool. You're sponsored with Yeti, all these things. So let's take it back to your first days. I'm curious, what were your first impressions of each other when you met?
So to this day, G is still like this. She was just kind of a badass, honestly. Like,
okay,
I knew
cool.
that before I started with the club, through my connection, she was already working here, and I already knew how amazing she was. And so when I started there, I was like, all right, like my goal is to be in the community impact team. I like knew that from day one. And I was like, I need to make an impression on like this person. Like she's already this like huge badass of a person, not only like as a person, but in the club. She doesn't like to give this information out, but she's employee number 1 at Austin FC.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
Out of everyone?
She was the official first employee at Austin FC. Right?
Yay! That's amazing.
Yeah. So like knowing that
that's intimidating.
Very intimidating. And so when I first met her, everything that I had heard from her about her was true. And yeah, I loved her from the start. So
her check is in the mail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Rocky. That's really sweet. My first impressions of Rocky was all positive. I mean, I think if you sit in front of her, she just gives you she just oozes positivity. I don't know what it is about how.
It's the California sunshine.
It is. Although she knows how I feel about Californians. She's an exception. No, I'm kidding. Californians are great. I don't know. I mean, like you got to talk with her before we sat down for this conversation. And she's so easy to talk to. She makes you feel so at ease. So I knew that she definitely had a huge gift. And so when she said that she wanted to be a part of the community impact team, at some point I made sure to take note of that. And I knew that she'd be great, which she has been, and she's been amazing. She's risen to every single tasks, and she's just amazing. And so I absolutely adore this woman. She knows I do. And it's great to work with her. And we just feel very lucky. She brings a whole lot of talent, a whole lot of vision, a whole lot of ideas that really do help, make this, department so successful, and the reason that we're able to impact as many people as we do, and in the unique ways that we do, having great part to do with Rocky's ideas and her just willingness to always go above and beyond. And when I say that, it is not, I mean, it's kind of crazy. A lot of times I have to tone her down because she dreams big, let me tell you. But it's great. It's great for our community to have big dreamers like Rocky as part of our group, because I think if you have someone who dreams as big as Rocky does as part of your team, you're able to, sometimes we do have to scale it back, and sometimes we allow her to run with the dream and go as big as she wants to dream, and then she always proves us wrong. She always proves us, and the benefit of that is the person who is on the other side of that dream ends up having the most incredible moment and incredible experience thanks to a lot of her planning and her ideas. So.
That's amazing.
Thanks, G. But I was like, cannot forget how well connected she is. So we wouldn't have the opportunity to do as many things as we like to do if we didn't mention how incredibly connected she is to the Austin community.
You're just gonna have a love fest here.
Yeah.
We're just gonna go back and forth and back and forth.
Because honestly, when I wrote that question down, I was like, God, I hope it's a good situation.
No, we hate each other. Like, yeah.
So honestly, that's great. Considering you guys both work for Austin's soccer team, did you grow up liking sports? Did you grow up playing sports? Were you in that at all?
Yes and no. So I grew up liking sports, but like G, I grew up in an immigrant household. I grew up with a single mom, so we didn't really have the funds to kind of pay for all the things that comes with sports. So I would like try out, and that was kind of like the end of it sometimes, just because I didn't want to put that burden on my mom. But also the one time I did try out and I really wanted it, I got cut in the last round for basketball. So I was like, well, maybe this is where my career ends as a basketball player. But I was able to play tennis in high school, which was a lot of fun. And then I just always was a fan of sports, particularly baseball. There was a little bit of soccer in my household, mostly from like uncles, but it wasn't a huge part of my life, but it was a huge part of the culture. So that's kind of like how it was for me. So
amazing. What about you?
Yeah, I was an athlete.
Yeah.
Growing up. Yeah, so I was on the swim team. I ran cross country. I played soccer at a really young age. I played soccer until I was way too old to be playing. So
you're never too old, G.
So yeah, I loved sports. My dad was a boxer in his youth.
Oh wow!
So we definitely had grow up with that around, and he was a runner. So yeah, I sports was definitely something, and there was a presence of sports in the house at all times and in all moments.
Wow.
I love soccer. Soccer was definitely the sports that I gravitated to the most. I loved it. Again, I said my family's from Mexico. My mom is from the state of Jalisco, and so we root for the Chivas there. And so again, like Rocky, I was introduced to that group and that team at a very early age by my uncles. But similarly, I was also introduced to Real Madrid through my dad for being a Hugo Sanchez fan. And so I've been rooting for these two teams my whole life. And then playing, I just loved it. There wasn't a whole lot of opportunities for me when I was growing up for it to be considered more than just a hobby. Once I had kids, I immediately put them into soccer. My kids still play soccer right now. So when this opportunity came to me, I went back to my family. I was like, hey, there's this project. I would be a contract person. This is what it is. And my boys, again, like Rocky, I'm surrounded by nothing but male testosterone at my house. They were like, you need to say yes. You need to say yes.
Oh.
We're a huge soccer family. And so, yeah, it was, again, never thought I would be working for a soccer team. It wasn't something that I thought I never even dreamt the idea. I didn't even know that there was that possibility. It just was never on my table because where was I going to do that? All the teams I knew were in foreign countries. And so, so when this opportunity came, my boys immediately jumped on me like, you better take this opportunity. I was like, yeah.
Well, that's why we really value in Latinitas having these conversations, because I find, especially in my young adulthood or whatever, going to college and everything, so many of the jobs that you actually get are jobs you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so important to have a kid or a parent or someone listen to your story about, this is a really cool thing happening in Austin. Everyone knows Austin FC, which is honestly remarkable when you think it's been around for 4 years. That's crazy. But everyone knows Austin FC. Everyone knows about it. And to think that could be you. You could be like you. You could be working in that. And it's so important to highlight ESPN or anything. Every sports team has a group of people and different, what are they called? It's like sections or whatever. Different people organizing different aspects of everything for every single group, for every single musician, for every single tour. So it's so imperative to kind of share your stories, your career journeys, to give people hope that if you have an interest in sports, and if you're like, well, but I don't want to play sports when I'm 30 years old, well, there are other aspects and ways that you can be involved. Speaking about ESPN, Samantha Nathas has previously worked with Austin FC and ESPN, and something we've learned, or at least think we have, is that even though sports industry is perceived as pretty male-dominated, at least at the time, the behind the scenes of ESPN was actually a majority female, and it was like female women of color. Would you say that sports in Austin FC, in your experience, is a male-dominated industry? Or is it kind of similar to ESPN, and like if you look at the behind the scenes, it's actually a lot more diverse than you would think?
At Austin FC, it's definitely much more diverse. And while I do feel that there is some shift in the male-dominated top-tier positions,
Always, yeah.
it still remains to be pretty white male-dominated.
Right.
Across the board, and regardless of what league you're in. But I do believe that there's even movement there. Here at Austin FC, you look at our leadership, and it is pretty diverse. You have women, you have men of color, you have, you have it all. So I think here, I'm not going to say we're a unique team, but it's definitely not the norm.
Not the majority in that, for sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So we have 2 senior VP female presidents. We have a couple of Asian VP presidents. VP presidents.
Oh,
VPs.
Vice president.
Regenerative.
Yes.
They're vice presidents. But yeah, it's very. And then you see 2 women here.
Right, exactly.
So, I think we're not the norm, but I don't know that we are, like unique in that respect as well. So you can see, I mean, I'm just thinking of some of the groups that we work with, some of the teams that we work with, and, our counterpoints. Yeah, it's a mix of people that we work with across the league. And I think you're going to see that. I can't speak for other leagues, but I know the MLS is pretty diverse behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from MLB is usually a little bit more traditional in however you want to use that word.
Right.
But I would say it was predominantly very male. A lot of men in that front office, and not that much diversity in there.
Interesting.
I was looking over your questions, and I'm like, how many Latinos were there, or Latinas? I honestly think I could count them on one hand and not even fill one hand. Yeah. So at least in the front office, and so it was a welcomed surprise, like coming from that to Austin FC and having the diversity that we do have. And I think our president, he prides himself in that. He wants the front office to not only be diverse but represent the Austin community. So
yeah, no, that's amazing. I hope it's changing and shifting. It is always, as you said, G, it's always that. It's always people of the high positions are not the diverse roles. And I've seen that. My mom is an epidemiologist, and so she's risen the ranks many times. And throughout her entire career, I've always seen that. We've always known that. So it is frustrating to sometimes have to be that first, but it's amazing to see you guys and to see that you're not, you two sitting here are not strange for Austin FC. This is kind of the norm for that group. Yeah. And that's at least, there's small hope.
It's a slow change, but it's a change, which is great. And
yes.
Even from what you guys saw at ESPN, I mean, Latinas run shit. So
yeah,
I don't know if I could say that, but
no, you can. Yeah.
Or women run shit. So literally, even if it's behind the scenes, we're gonna get to the front.
Yes.
One day. So it's just a matter of time, and we're just trying to prove that, hey, if we are in charge of it and we run it, we can make it work extremely well. So,
ESPN was really inspiring because almost all of it's not obviously the people that were playing sports, but it was the women that were producing the content for ESPN, and almost all of them were women and women of color. And so it was really cool to see that, and to see them be I'm pretty sure I think one of them was I'm pretty sure every person in a leadership position is a woman. That's
amazing.
And it's so cool because when you think of ESPN, you don't think of that at all. but there's just a whole
Behind
other
the scene.
world.
Yeah, I think in media, you have a lot of women behind
Yes,
the scenes,
yeah.
especially in television. You have a lot of women behind the scenes. Because again, you got to get things done.
Yeah.
No, fully. But going back to community impact for a moment, how do you measure success when it comes to community impact? Like, what does a successful initiative look like? And could you give us an example of one?
I think for us, it's more nuanced. So while we do have a nonprofit arm that collects a whole lot of data and a lot of a lot of their success is measured through metrics. For us, the community impact team, we're more nuanced. It's really like, were we successful in? We have a program called Season for Giving, right? And so we know that we're going to impact at least a family or two. We provide gifts for them for their, for the holidays. And for us, it's okay. Were we able to execute all that we wanted to within this program? Yes, that's success. Was the family happy? Was the nonprofit that we worked for, did we serve them in more than one ways? And so it's more making sure that we were actually providing some sort of impact, a positive impact with our partners, being the nonprofit and the families that we serve. But also then taking a look and seeing, we executed and we executed very well. So next year, how do we improve on this, right? And so if we are able to successfully improve in the new, bigger and better ideas that Ms. Rocky comes to us with, then we measure that as success. That's one way we measure success. The other, obviously, is being able to respond and to have adequate conversations with those that do reach out to us, right? And adding and learning more about our local community so that we are able to better represent them for the following season. So again, it's pretty nuanced for our department, but it really does entail a lot of conversations with current partners that we have and looking at the faces of the people that actually do benefit from the programs that we do have.
That's incredible. That's rewarding.
Yeah.
That's really rewarding.
It's very rewarding. And I mean, you have, like G was saying, you have your qualitative data where it's literally all numbers, like how many people did you impact, like all that stuff. And like that is very important. And I think that's what helps us like grow our budgets and things like that. But then you have the quantitative side of it. And it's like, well, the data doesn't show that the little boy who received XYZ, like how much this is impacting him and how grateful he is for like said thing, or like the kids and like what the program that we impacted. So I think there's definitely different ways to kind of measure it all, but at the end of the day, we're happy that we got to work with all these amazing people and kids and groups.
One of the things that I always remember and that I feel like, okay, we really are making an impact. I do remember working with a local high school soccer team. When we connected with the coach, he gave us, a little bit of insight to his players and sort of the way they were at students. We invited them to the stadium. We had a moment with them. We had conversations with them. And it was a unique experience for this team. And so when everyone was happy, but then we heard back from the coach and said attendance had improved, morale had improved, because they knew that this opportunity came and they knew that this opportunity might come again, and so they wanted to be on the list.
Oh, that's cool.
And so again, do we collect that sort of data? No. Is it making an impact? 110% it is. And especially to those teachers who have to deal with these kids, right? Who, they can sit there and sort of dangle and like, hey, if this opportunity comes again, we're only going to take, whatever it is that you're looking for the kids to do. So, I think those are the sort of things that create a definition of success for me, right? So
yeah, it's very similar to Latinitas, because Latinitas is, we have, like you said, our actual data of monetary stuff and people coming back and to our camps. But then we have like in those camps or clubs or conferences, seeing the kids get inspired and have different ideas. And that like really sticks with them in a way that I guess when you're young, you kind of vaguely remember that happens, but seeing it is so crazy because it is why I'm saying it's so important for you to share your careers, because those little kids, like we took them to the Capitol and they were so excited about, I think our mayor or something, but they were so excited about it was like a judge. They were very excited about this. And you could tell that some of them had like never had experience, never seen like a jury sort of situation. And for some reason it like really stuck in their heads and they were very excited about it. Everyone's story is just so important because it's important to kind of showcase like this could be you. You could be in Austin FC. You could be in the stadium, and give them hope in a way that like they don't always see is just really, really cool. So given that soccer does have a deep connection to the Latino culture, how does that influence the work in creating initiatives that resonate with the local Latino community?
Yeah, I'll put in a bit. I'm going to put on a business hat here. I think it would be irresponsible for any, large corporation, any large business owner who doesn't pay attention to the Latino consumer. We know what the data shows. We know what, their buying power is like. And so as a company, obviously the Latino consumer is going to be an important consumer for us to target.
Right.
The one thing that we do know is that, soccer is important to this community, and we've got that product. So obviously we would hope that there was a natural fit. So coming into it, I think we knew that the Latino community was going to be an important consumer group for us to consider, and we have, done our best to connect with that population. However, it's not just about the money, right? It is about the community. Yep. And so because we have such a large Latino community here in Central Texas, it's natural for us to connect with them as well. And so it makes life easier when you have a program that is based, in soccer that you want to share with your community, that there is such large interest in that program. I think it's really difficult in situations where, and to be frank and honest, sometimes we do, stumble across going to a particular population and they have absolutely no interest in soccer. And so you can't connect as readily, right? So to be honest, really, really thankful that we live in a city with such a large Latino population that loves soccer that we can more easily connect with. Right. So for us, I don't think that we necessarily say, oh, let's put this program on just to benefit the Latino community. I think we understand that this is just they're a part of our population. And one of the things as the community impact, we worked off of 3 different pillars, and one of them is equity, is in ensuring that we give access to soccer and to our stadium to those who probably wouldn't otherwise have access to it. Right. So in this area, it just so happens to be a lot of low-income, Latino families that fit within that description. So it's who we serve a lot of the time, but not because it's a Latino. It's because it just happened to be people who don't have as much access to the things that we have. Yeah.
And I'm curious, what advice would you guys give to young Latinos who want to work in sports, either on the field or behind the scenes?
I would say don't be scared to dream. And I know, like, we hear that sometimes, and maybe we just don't hear it enough. And yes, G shoots down my ideas sometimes. But the thing is that she's giving me, the Austin FC has given me the freedom to dream big. And my mom has done the same thing as well. But this place is, I'm lucky to work for an organization that gives me the ability to dream big. And I think people need to hear that more and need to be reminded of that, because if you are working for a place where like you're not given that opportunity, I think you kind of forget it. And those dreams that you used to dream, like, they're going to be a little bit more constricted. But if you have the freedom to just kind of let your mind go crazy and think of some amazing opportunities or whatever it is in the field that you're doing, I think don't be scared to dream big, because we need more Latinos in the front office. We need them on the pitch. We need them everywhere. So
I love that.
Yeah, I think it is good to dream, but I think it's also very important to be realistic.
Okay. She gives you that reminder every day.
I don't think that there is a club in the MLS. I don't think there's a single team anywhere that won't hire someone without a college degree. So
Okay.
you have to go to college.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to get that piece of paper. It doesn't have to be in sports management. In fact, it's probably in your best interest not to get, something in sports management, because it is a very, very difficult industry to get into. But get into business, get into the arts. I mean, these are some of the
Communications.
Yeah, I was a comms major.
Yeah.
These are journalism major here. These are some of the jobs that exist in the front office. And the front office is basically the behind the scene, okay? Where everything that's not on the field, the pitch, right? You have graphic designers, you have writers, you have accountants, you have business analytics,
sales and
professionals.
service.
You have, I mean, like, there's so many different ways that you can work in sports without having a sports management degree. Sports management obviously will give you a complete overview of every aspect that there is, in any sports franchise, but you don't need just that. In fact, like I said, you just keep studying, keep your education a priority, graduate from college, and your doors will open for you.
Yeah.
And then if you really want to make it into sports industries, just remember it is a difficult industry to get into, but it's not impossible to get into. So just keep working at it.
Hence dream big, G.
But there are you need points.
No, it's
you need
no,
points to make that dream reality.
You guys created some really great perspectives, both of you, because I didn't know that. And that's something I think it's a big conversation right now, is like a lot of people are not going to college or thinking, oh, why do it if I'm, a lot of it is I can be an influencer right now, and does that last forever, and the benefits of that throughout. And so there's different things. So it's good to have a clear cut. There are not a lot of jobs that don't require that. So if you are interested, that's something. And I just really like college as a place, because I feel like at 18 you're not ready to be an adult. I did not want to be an adult, and I liked going to my classes.
I'm an advocate for higher education.
Yeah.
So probably not someone you want to invite if you're of the idea that you can make it without.
Yeah.
I think that, I think there's a lot. I mean, I wish the landscape for attaining the degree would look differently, but we do know that there are benefits, and I do think that there are also opportunities for you to lower the cost of education.
Yes.
It takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort for you to get those, but I would never shoot down college, ever.
Yeah.
I think it opens a lot of doors for you, unfortunately.
And for the people that want to be on their phone all day doing social media stuff, I mean, every team has social media. And
literally, that's a
so
job.
important.
That's a real job.
Yeah, you get paid to be on TikTok and Instagram the entire day, but you also need to have the college degree and put in the work, to G's point. But you can manage the entire social media for a huge brand, a huge organization. You can do it. Go do it.
We have 3 of those people.
And they're amazing. And I believe, they all went to college, so they're
they have to.
Yeah.
We won't hire anybody. Also, again, this is an MLS thing. We won't hire.
And it's good to know. Now let's play Rocky's game for a moment. If you could create a dream community initiative for Austin FC with no limits, no funding limits, and anyone ever could come and be a part of it, Taylor Swift, Selena, whatever, what would it look like?
Wow.
I think you've
Dream
given
the
her
biggest.
way.
Yeah.
You've given her
My
absolutely-
mind's freaking out
I
right now.
know. Rocky needs some parameters, just so you know.
Wow.
I'm giving you none.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
like, I'm gonna need a second. So go for
All right,
it.
let me.
What are you
I'm
dreaming
gonna
of?
keep adding parameters to you. Okay.
No, you can.
You have to
this
get
is
it
your
done in a
opportunity
month.
to dream big. So this is.
Okay.
yeah.
You're allowing me to
She said
dream big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rocky's game.
both
Oh,
of
I
you.
thought
What
you
would
said-
your
I thought it
initiatives
was
be?
just for
No,
you.
she named a game after
Oh.
me. So
Okay,
for
Rocky's
both
game.
of
What would I
us.
do?
That's,
Wow, I think that is a really interesting and very difficult question because there's so many needs.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have the privilege of doing it as part of our job is getting to know the community and knowing those needs and getting it like firsthand. So I think one of the things that if I could, my big dream, I know this is silly and you may not think, I would, and it's soccer related, if there was absolutely no limit to the money I could get, which is always the biggest hurdle.
There's
we
no
get.
limit.
We have a lot of limits as far as purse strings are concerned. With this, no limits. I would go to every single Title I school and redo all of their fields and have the money to upkeep those fields, give them all new equipment, give them all new everything that they needed to play in safer and better conditions so that they could
That's
continue to love
amazing.
this game. That's what I would do. That would be my big dream.
Wow.
It takes a lot of money though.
I mean, that takes, billions of dollars, but that's amazing.
That's what I'd want.
And I mean, I'm kind of going a similar route. I was thinking I'd love to be able to fund how this would happen in logistics. No idea how this would all happen. But if there was a world where we could essentially give the Austin community the resources to have every child that like wanted to play soccer the ability to through practically the rest of their life. Because it comes down to money for uniforms, it comes down to transportation,
Right.
like every aspect of that to be covered. That would be amazing. And then to end that whole ceremony of us announcing, like, if you want to play soccer, we got you, and everyone goes crazy. And then we bring in Messi and Rolando because every single time we go to any school, the kiddos always ask, Rolando or Messi, Rolando or Messi. And so I'd love to end it with both of them there. And yeah,
love
and
that.
get
That
everyone
is so big. That is a big
She
dream.
said dream big, so I'm dreaming
But I
big.
could see it, soccer for all, like the initiative.
And we have an initiative, Soccer for All, but like this is truly like funding every aspect of that, making sure transportation isn't an issue, making sure they have a field to play in, making sure they just have all of the resources taken care of so they can be kids and follow a dream. And if they want to be a professional soccer player, they can go do it.
Hey, they're billionaires. It's not impossible.
Exactly.
I love that. I'm excited. Y'all had way better. I don't even know what I thought, but it was something like relating to just like a celebrity. Like I had no
I
idea.
threw that in there for you.
She threw in some celebrities.
Yeah, but they even made sense. Mine didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's why I don't have this
good.
job.
I
Hey,
think
Taylor
we're-
Swift NFL. There you go.
Right, but then I was like, that's not the right one. I wouldn't do
You're
it.
good. It's still sports.
We always think soccer, though. I think that's funny. Anyway.
So lastly, I would like to know what's next for Austin FC. Are there any upcoming projects you guys are working on that you're excited about? You can let us know. And if not, that's okay.
So there's
Well, we're towards the end of our season, and so one of the things that will happen is we'll start planning for next season pretty soon. In fact, some of those strategic planning sessions have already begun. So even though we're in October and our season is not officially over, we are already starting to plan for 2025. And yeah, I think this is the point of the year where we start brainstorming and start thinking, and we start playing Rocky's game with a lot more parameters.
A lot more.
But yeah, it's taking a look at what comes back, what doesn't come back, what are some of the things that we want to do that we didn't get to do this year? What are some of the things that were very successful that we want to repeat or maybe, make better? We start looking at some of those metrics, some of that data that we capture, and trying to see like what we can make from that. So right now we're still brainstorming. And so I don't think that we have anything very specific. The one thing that we do know that we have that's coming up in 2025 is that Austin will be hosting the MLS All-Star Week. So that will be happening sometime in July. And that's a really great opportunity for the city to get familiar with the league, with the sport, with some of the, the superstars within the MLS. So that'll be an exciting and fun time. And again, we've got a hand in that, a very small hand in that, but we're trying to make sure that it has an authentic Austin feel and that the city is represented very well for this event.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
All the things that she said. The one thing that's like right around the corner is our season of giving programming, which will start, and we do that around the end of the year. Every year, there's a couple different components to it. We do like a surprise and delight component where we, in partnership with HEB, we go and basically buy people's groceries.
That's awesome.
And surprise and delight them. And
oh my God, is it random? Like fully random?
It's random.
It's at random.
We have some of our players show up to HEB
That's
grocery
amazing.
stores. And
oh my God, tell me when I'll be at a grocery store.
Like, tell me when and where. So there's that component, and then we have a giving tree component. We're changing things up a little bit this year, so stay tuned for what we'll be doing with that. And then I think it's those two components. We might be adding one more, I think. But season of giving, that'll be around the corner.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
When does that start? Do you know?
So we kind of do all the behind the scenes and like the background work usually mid-November, but we'll be releasing all of that content probably early to mid-December.
Okay, amazing. Well, look out for that. Make sure to go to your local HEBs.
Yeah.
See, you never know. And thank you guys so much for having this conversation with me. This was really interesting and insightful, and it's really cool to talk to two amazing women doing really cool work and also just work so similar to us. It's lovely to have this conversation. If there's anything else you want to say, shout out where people can find you. Look up Austin FC, go to a game.
Yeah, we'd love to see you.
Exactly. Come on over. But thank you so much for having us. This was a lot of fun. So we love Latinitas.
We do.
So that was my Conversando with Rocky Zapata and Gisella SantaCruz of Austin FC. I was going to say of Austin FC fame. From Austin FC. From Austin FC. They were an absolute delight, and it was so incredible to get to hear their stories, to get to hear how to get involved, the amazing initiatives that they do, and just highlighting two incredible women doing really cool work. And if you're in the Austin area, I highly recommend going and checking out a game, maybe stopping by your local HEB, you don't know, and just having a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening to our conversation, and I'll see you on the next Conversando. Adios!